welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy, bringing another exciting episode. Whoa, what's going on here? It's as if this software has a mind of its own. Oh my goodness. I got to tell you, I was doing some tinkering. You know, you never should do that. I was doing some tinkering with the new VidBlaster version 4.05. It's a beta in pre-show, and actually before pre-show. And so I wanted some videos that would play and things that would go on in the background so that I could go monitor it and see how things were doing. And so I put my intro to this show on loop and outsmarted myself. So sorry about that. Also want to apologize to those of you that are watching live. If you're watching the 720p feed, you may get some freezing. It seems to me there's a problem, an internet problem somewhere, and we've choked that down as far as we can. But it seems like for some folks they're getting some intermittent freezing. So switch over to the 180p feed, if you will, and I think you'll get a smoother feed. Not sure, didn't have time to troubleshoot that. And suspect that it is not it's not emanating from this studio. It's happening somewhere else along the line. So before I name names, I'm going to get some more information. And boy, you know, how about that for an intro? Well, for those of you watching on YouTube, sorry about all this rigmarole here at the beginning. We're delighted to have you watch and hope you'll subscribe, because I think you'll find it useful. If nothing else, you get to watch me screw up and make mistakes. So you could count on it for kind of a blooper reel, if you would. The VidBlaster new version 4.05 is a beta. So if you'd like to upgrade to it, remember it's a beta. It's not a done deal. It's not through cooking yet. It's still in the oven. It's kind of like we took it out of the oven to check. You know, when you bake a cake and you stick a not a broomstick, a broom straw into the cake to see if it's done yet. Well, this one got pulled out of the oven to see if it's done, and you know, everybody wanted a bite. And Mike was like, well, it's not right done yet. In fact, he emailed me when I said, Mike, I need a new key. I need an upgrade key so I can use this in my broadcast. He said, well, it's not really done yet. You know, kind of go easy on that. And I said, send it to me anyway. I want to test out some stuff. So we're using version 4.05 today. I don't think that's the reason for our problems. I think the problems are elsewhere. But 4.05 has got lots of great goodies in it, and I guess that's why it generated a new version upgrade from version 3 to version 4. I'm going to give you kind of the hot upgrade details, the features that I think are the coolest. And I'm going to start for those folks that have the home edition. When version 4 is ready, and if you just got version 3 within the last year, you can upgrade to version 4 for free. You will have available to you the output module, which has never been available to you before, and the scoreboard module. So if you're using your home edition to stream sports, you will now have the scoreboard module available. So go back and check some of our old videos on how to use the scoreboard module, and download version 4 and check it out. If you have, let's see, let's get this right. If you're downloading version 4 and you have version 3, but your version 3 license is older than a year, you won't be able to upgrade to version 4 for free. But if you download and install version 4, you'll get the trial edition. So you can check it out, and then you can download and reinstall version 3. I was using version 3.3.5, I think was the latest beta before I went to 4.05. If you have version 3 and it's less than a year old, you'll have the option to upgrade to version 4 for free. But if you do that, be careful, because the downgrade process is not as simple as uninstalling version 4 and then reinstalling version 3. Version 3 will then say, hey, you've got a different license than you had before. So use some caution when you're doing the upgrade. You don't want to do it and then find that you've somehow boxed yourself into a corner. So I would suggest if you make the upgrade, I mean, if you download and install version 4 and it comes up the trial edition, play around with it, but don't register it yet. Let's wait a little while and before you kind of commit yourself to a path. Play with it, reinstall version 3, do what you need to do, then go back to version 4 to play some more. I think you can go back and forth without any difficulties. If I find out otherwise, I'll edit this video, put a little bubble up here or something like that so that you can see. So Home Edition, output module, and the output module is what allows you to send video to Skype, if you wanted to send video to Skype. If you're using Flash Media Live Encoder as a separate software, you can use the output module to send video to Flash Media Live Encoder. If you're using other encoders like FFmpeg or Wirecast, or I can't think of any others off the top of my head, or if you're if you are using VidBlaster to give you kind of a cool backdrop like this one, and you're using it in Google Hangouts or in GoToMeeting or something like that, where you want to have a cool hangout behind you, the output module is the one that you'll want to activate in VidBlaster. And then when you go to Google Hangout or to GoToMeeting or something like that, and you're selecting your camera, look for VidBlaster VVD, because that will be the output module from VidBlaster, and that's how you'll get your video into those other programs. The old VVD was in the streamer, and it looks like, at least temporarily, that has been eliminated. So the old VidBlaster VVD that was in the streamer module is no longer available, and that's how folks that had the Home Edition before could send video out to Skype or video out to Flash Media Live Encoder, was to use a streamer for that. So now that's been consolidated into the output module. The output module has also been, what's a good way to put it? The output module went on a diet, and so it's lighter. It doesn't use as much CPU to use it. So that's always good news. Anytime you can save CPU cycles, it's a plus in my book. Speaking of saving CPU cycles, what a segue we had there. For everybody, the streamer and the recorder both have been, I don't know that they've been redesigned from the ground up, but I think they've been put on a diet, and they are slimmed down, and they're using less CPU resources. I spent most of the morning playing with version 4. It is so much fun to have cool software to play with. Anyway, so I was trying to recreate my typical show day setup, because right now we run VidBlaster at 480 and then send that output to Wirecast that records it and then streams it to Decast at 720 and 180. And I know 480 going up to 720 doesn't increase the resolution, but we just have that set because that's just the way that's kind of the goal. And so I said, okay, well, let's set up VidBlaster to, excuse me here, got a little scratch. Sorry about that, but you know how it is. You have to scratch it when it itches. We set up VidBlaster at 720 and then added a streamer module added 2 streamer modules and a recorder module, because this show is streamed 2 different places. Actually, both places are Decast, but 2 different places within Decast, one to their Flash servers and the other to their HTML5 servers, whatever that would translate to in server language. And so, but it's essentially 2 different server farms that Decast is using, probably 2 different places. I think our Flash feed goes to Washington, D.C. to a server farm there, and the HTML5 feed goes to Kansas City to a server farm there. So Wirecast is set to send the high-density feed, the 720 feed, to Washington, D.C., and the low-density feed, the 180 feed, to Kansas City. So we set up VidBlaster to do the same way. The streamer number 1 was set up for 720 to Decast's flash service, and streamer number 2 was set up to Decast's HTML5 service. And you can set the resolution in the streamer. And then we also set up the recorder to record at 720, and it did real well. Now, I think we encountered a flash problem because we were having some freezing in the 720 feed, and I think if you're watching us live, you may be experiencing that now. And I said, well, process of elimination. Let's make sure it's not VidBlaster. So we stripped out the profile, stripped out the recorder and the streamer modules from that profile in VidBlaster, and then did an output, picked that up with Wirecast, and went online with Wirecast broadcasting, and the same problem. The same issue of using up a lot of bandwidth, but it wasn't on my end. In fact, I even cut both VidBlaster and Wirecast back from 2500 kbps to 1500 kbps, and still had some hiccuping, and I think I've cut it back to 1000, so that's why the quality of this feed doesn't look as good as it normally was. I think we may have a little bit of a drop frame here or there for that reason. But I was really pleased going back to the VidBlaster test once I realized it was not VidBlaster's fault that we were having this problem. I played some more, and I was getting CPU usage in the 60 to 80 range with this profile that I'm using right now that includes 3 effect modules. 2 of them are chroma key, which tends to be require a little extra horsepower. And so I was pretty pleased. Now, Mike has made it real clear he's not done yet. He's going to do some more tweaks. I think most of the tweaks are going to come, and we'll get to this in just a second, with the screen capture and the Skype portion. But I'd love to see him be able to tweak the recorder and the streamer just a little bit more and squeeze a little bit more horsepower, or actually cause those to use a little bit less horsepower so we get better gas mileage, as it were. The screen capture, which we're actually using right now, let me go ahead and pop that up here. This is the screen capture. Well, actually, this is the forum, but this is a screen capture of the forum, and I have taken, well, let me add another screen capture so you can see what it looks like before I did all that. So let's pop screen capture. I wonder if you can capture the same window twice. Capture window, yeah, looks like it will. Okay, so this is what it looked like before I cropped it. And I'm going to add smooth resampling there so the text will be a little clearer. And I was able to use the crop feature in the screen capture to crop out the URL at the top and the black lines on either side, and then the bar at the bottom, so that it looked like this. And it also had the benefit of blowing the text up just a little bit. And this is pretty darn readable. Now, the screen capture module, I think, if I understand correctly, it automatically adjusts the frame rate based on what its perception is of what's going on in that module. So in our case, this is a static page. I can go over and scroll on the page, and it's going to move the frame rate accordingly. But in the case of video, supposedly it will go ahead and automatically adjust its frame rate on the video. I'll get back to you on confirming that. But the reason I brought this up is because I wanted to show you, this is actually the VidBlaster forum, and this is Mike's post on the new VidBlaster 4.05 beta. Now, if you've never been to the VidBlaster forum, you really owe yourself a visit. It's real simple. It's forum.vidblaster.com. Yeah, I don't guess you're going to see it on that one. Let's go over to that one. There you go, forum.vidblaster.com, and that will get you into the VidBlaster forum. as a guest, you can read everything. You just can't post everywhere. If you register, you can post in the support forum, and then if you're a registered licensed user of VidBlaster, you get that kind of special tag. You can then post anywhere you want to. So let's go back here, and we'll scroll down back in here. The big news that I think that I love is that VidBlaster, at least version 4, it's not retroactive to my knowledge, but VidBlaster version 4 is going to work with Windows 10. So for those of you that got Windows 10 early on, or are thinking about upgrading to it, VidBlaster version 4 will be there waiting for you on version 10. Mike says in his post that this new beta release is lighter as it replaces the two most CPU-hungry modules, the streamer and the recorder, with newly designed versions that use more efficient encoders. Big plus right there. You guys couldn't say that. Let me try again. Big plus right there, Mike. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. We love anything that uses less CPU. So what we're finding is, over time, that VidBlaster has gone from software that, and whoops, how did I do that? That's what I get with punching the wrong button on the macros. VidBlaster has gone from a software that couldn't do 640 by 480, 30 frames a second on a dual-core machine, to software that will do full standard definition on a dual-core machine, and will now do high definition streaming and recording on a quad-core. Now, if you want to get really super duper, probably well, I'll tell you one thing. If you're using a lot of webcams, that discount everything I just said. If you're using webcams are CPU-hungry little creatures. They are rodents, and they will go in there and they'll just chew up your CPU, and they'll use 5% here and 7% there. And so be careful if you're planning on doing a show, an HD show, and you want to say, oh, well, I'm just going to populate all my USB ports with webcams. You need to test that. You need to test that and make sure that's going to work for you. What I find is that the webcams here, I've got 3 webcams connected, and if I disconnect one of those, suddenly I get a 5% boost in horsepower. It's like, it's not even funny. So caution, if you're planning on a whole show using webcams, make sure you test with VidBlaster and with the webcams and streaming and recording to make sure you can do what you want to without going above that magic 75% CPU number. That's the number I use, because when I find that I go, I'm at 74 right now. When I go above 75 into that 80 range, my PC, this specific PC, starts generating some audio artifacts. And I think it's because a frame is dropping, and so we're getting a little tick or a little crackle. So you want to be careful for that. The other thing that's happened that I think is really cool with this new version of VidBlaster is that the overlay module, and that's the one that does things like this lower third right here and this little graphic right here, the overlay module has been redesigned and reworked with a watch feature. And I don't mean like a clock. It'll already do timing, and that's a whole different ballgame. But I'm talking about that little module now is on the lookout. It's watching. Has the PNG file that produces this image, has it changed? If it's changed, I'm going to give you the new one. So it automatically updates itself. Now this is cool because it means that, number one, if you're using let's say you're doing hockey, you're doing a hockey show, and you've got all sorts of stats that you're putting on the screen, and those are coming, and you're generating a PNG file for it, but if you have the file has the same name, you can generate that file and it will update itself in VidBlaster. So you can sit there and change your stats and update a new file. Or if you're picking up a file from somebody else remotely, when that PNG file changes, it'll change on your PC too. So I can't wait to test that one. I didn't have time to test that one today, but that's going to be fun. So what that means is that you can have somebody working on stats to your side and periodically just making a new PNG file of whatever the screenshot is they want to show. And so whenever you've got that particular graphic showing in whatever shot it is, it'll be updated. Think of the fun that you can have with that. I can't wait to see what people do with that one. That one's going to be really fun. That one's going to be really fun. The other feature that is definitely not ready for prime time yet is part of the screen capture. Now I'm going to go back to the screen capture one right here. Let's turn off those graphics, and you can see that looks pretty darn good, and it's got smooth resampling as one of the options for the screen capture, which means that the text is actually readable. I'm going to turn that off, and you can see the difference. Did you notice how it changed? Let me turn it back on, and you can see the difference. And I think it makes the text a lot more readable in the screen capture module. So if you're capturing some files, or if you're capturing a web page or something like that to bring into your broadcast, then you'll be able to do that with screen capture and smooth resampling. I think that feature was already there. I don't think that's anything new, but I just want to show it to you. The other thing with the screen capture is that Mike has added a Skype-specific function in screen capture so that it will capture the Skype window without all the other paraphernalia around it. So if you want to have a Skype shot that you can use without a whole lot of extra work, you can simply select that Skype. What is it called? It is called the Skype video feature. And that's obviously still in beta, because it works sometimes with some people's setups, and it doesn't work with other people's setups. And so it'll be interesting. The next time, well, how am I going to do that? I guess I'm going to have to make a video and bring that in as a video, because I don't want to do a Skype guest live when I'm bringing the guest in. And use them as a guinea pig. No guest likes that. So maybe I can maybe you and I can set up a call sometime on Skype, and I can capture your window and use your image in a video. If you'd like that, shoot me a note. We'll see if we can't get together on that one. There have been a whole other list of goodies added to the new VidBlaster. Let me see if I can't go over the list with you. The tally lights, of course, are in there. As a support for a generic tally light system. There's a crop now available in the camera module. In fact, there used to be two camera modules, camera module Roman numeral 1, camera module Roman numeral 3. Don't ask me about 2, that disappeared somewhere along the way. Well, camera module 1 has gone away, and some of the features in camera module 1 have been added to camera module 3, and camera module 3 is now renamed camera module 1. You need a program to follow the players in this one. So anyway, the crop has been added to that so that you can crop your cameras. That's a good deal. The recorder has added a time label and record and stop buttons. It has added API pins for audio device and audio input and source. It's been added the audio delay option. You remember the audio delay was part of the old recorder, but when the old recorder went away, the new recorder didn't have the audio delay, and I was one of the folks that said, hey, you got to put that back in. So Mike very generously added it back. What else here? The streamer requires less CPU. We knew that. I'll scroll down here. There were some bugs fixed in Playout. in the camera and in the API and in the screen capture. For those of you that are using Scale Engine as your CDN, there was a bug fixed in the streamer over that. So that's pretty much the good overview. So to sum up, Windows 10 compatibility, big boost in CPU efficiency. Let's put it that way. That's better. Really cool Skype screen capture, but benefit for the folks that use home in that they have the output and the scoreboard modules where they didn't before. And then I think one that people will just discover uses for is the overlay module that has the watch feature in it. So that's it. That's version 4.05 at a glance in VidBlaster. Now we'll be testing it some more as time goes on, and I've heard from Mike that he's probably got some private betas going on right now, like 4.06, 4.07. He's changed his philosophy a little bit. It used to be that every beta was made available, and now I think he's asking folks that are willing to go the extra mile with him to take these private betas and do very specific testing instead of just tossing it out into the wild and hoping that people out in the wild do the kind of testing that he needs. So he's getting some good testers to work on it in the private beta program. And obviously, because there was a VidBlaster 4.01, 02, 03, and 04 before we got 05 released. What day was it? Was it Sunday when that was released? Monday? Saturday? Anyway, it was since last week's show. So, version 4 has arrived just in time for summer fun. Summer fun. We hope that you will download it. You can go to the VidBlaster forum, and that's forum.vidblaster.com. Let's see, did that show up anywhere? Yeah, it's in yellow, so it's not going to show up. Let's see if we can change it to an annoying color font so you can see it better. How about that? Yeah, that still doesn't show up. Anyway, it's forum.vidblaster.com, and you can go to the download sections, and in the download section, you can download version 4.05. If this is your first time using VidBlaster and you don't want to kind of gamble with something that's still a little undercooked, go get version 3.35. 3.35 is a good, stable version. It was not a release version, but it was a good, stable version and had a lot of cool features in it, and I think that will be real stable for you. But if you've been using VidBlaster for a while and you want to see the new overlay module features, and if you're using the home edition and you want to see the scoreboard and the output module, and if you want to see the Skype capture, you'll have to get version 4 for all of that. We will be reporting back on the version 4 progress in upcoming shows, so stay tuned. If you're not following us on Twitter, you may want to do that. The Twitter handle is VidBlaster Guy, so check us out on Twitter, and when we find out new stuff about VidBlaster, we will tweet it, so you can kind of keep up with the latest, greatest in what's going on in the VidBlaster world. I am Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster Guy. It has really been my treat to be with you today, and I hope you will join me for future shows. That VidBlaster Guy, we're live every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock in London, and sometime early in the morning in Australia. I think it's 5 a.m., but it depends on time changes. And I hope you'll visit our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, where you can get more information about all the things that we do, because this whole show is just a giant commercial anyway. No, seriously, if you're interested in VidBlaster, you can go there, and we can supply it with you and help you be successful in your purchase. So, and by the way, the closing graphics coming up in just a second are going to say that we used version 3.35 to produce this show, but really we didn't. We used version 4.05. So anyway, take care, have a great day, and we'll see you soon.